LP, Round Lake Beach, Illinois.
Hello
Taking
and
you back to the 70s
Wow.
on 98.3 The Life.
That was a good one. That would never happen before. All right. Hello and happy Monday, everyone. Happy Monday. Thank you so very much for tuning into 98.3 FM, The Life. You're listening to Bacon Bits with Master Happiness. Yeah, I had too many buttons up there. All kinds of music was happening there. You're listening to Bacon Bits with Master Happiness. And of course, I'm your host, Marty Jalove. I come at you every single Monday night at 7 o'clock. But hey, it's not 7 o'clock. It's 6 o'clock, right? Yeah, it's crazy, right? Yeah, a little change up. Rusty asked us if we could switch the time for him because at the 7 o'clock hour, Rusty will be back live. He's covering one of the a basketball game for the high school students. Yeah. You can hear me fine, right?
I hear you. Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
I can hear you better than I can hear me. Oh, there you go. That's perfect. So again, sorry about that. I hope you're still paying attention while Tiffany and I have our own little side conversation. All right. Like I said, we normally come on at 7 o'clock. Today's 6 o'clock, but you're still going to get an incredible show. And if you miss any of today's show because you got to run out to get dinner or something like that, that's okay. Because later in the week, you can tune into the recording of today's show, and it's going to be a fun show today. You're going to turn in the recording anywhere you listen to podcasts to Bacon Bits with Master Happiness. Okay, so the whole show is usually about your job, your career, your vision made clear, the skills that you hone for the job that you, or the business that you own, job, business, whatever.
It's full moon.
It is good. Yeah, it is definitely a full moon. And I think it's going to be a lunar eclipse, so who knows what's going on out there, right? The ups and downs, the smiles and frowns, where you're at and where you're bound, okay? Normally I have a crazy guest, and today, of course, I have the best of all the crazy guests. I have Tiffany. Say hello there, Tiffany.
Hello, Tiffany.
There you go. Fantastic. It's going to be one of these goofy shows. I could just tell. All right. All right. So what's going to be really interesting today's show is a very it's kind of a twist on a subject that is near and dear to my heart. We're talking about that you cannot argue your way to peace. Okay. And it came about actually, I'm not going to throw you under the bus, but it came about us having a little conversation, you and me, Tiff, about you saying that, oh my God, I hate sometimes like people that I'm good friends with or that we disagree so strongly on one subject, and sometimes it's politics,
And
sometimes it's religion
is
right?
another big one.
Sometimes it's right now it's like vaccines could be it could be medicine, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right.
So sometimes there is just that one thing that we argue about, and that is the defining factor that says that's it. That is enough to end our relationship. Okay. And so we decided to kind of talk a little bit about what's going on there, and understanding that we can't just argue our way to peace. We can't argue and argue and argue and argue and then suddenly go, you're right. I love arguing with you. Let's
right?
become friends.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's not going to happen.
No,
Okay.
no.
But maybe it can. Okay.
Oh,
you like that, huh? All right. I'm making no promises. I just thought that would be fun to say. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a couple of different, I would rather use some benign ideas, as I don't want to tackle anything like gun control, politics, vaccines, religion. I don't want to talk about that here. What I want to do is talk about something simple, as like to say something like when I was doing this as a presentation for this large group in Mensa. Actually, I did this presentation about how to communicate or how to open minds. That's what the presentation was about. So I chose the idea of AI. Like people are so strong in one direction with AI versus the other. So what we'll do is instead we'll make it even simpler, and we'll just talk about donuts. Okay, so everyone,
I was going to say fast food, but that's pretty close.
There you go. So we'll talk a little bit about donuts. Just the idea. So it's a silly debate. Should you never have donuts, or should you always have donuts? Like somewhere in between. All right. So that's what we're going to kind of talk about. And the question is, can we argue if two people are so set in their ways, opposing directions? Can we actually have a conversation? Can we get somebody to open their minds, or are we just going to debate like fire versus fire?
And that's totally up to the person.
Yeah.
I mean, their personality, their person, because there's people out there, it's only their way. And no matter what you say, you're never going to change your mind.
Yep.
Or there's someone like myself who is very interested in what the other person has to say. I don't know if you would change my mind or not,
Yeah,
but I'm
yeah.
actually very interested in your point of view.
Perfect,
And
perfect.
I truly am to that. But there are people out there, it's like, whatever you say, you're not going to change my mind. And it's like, okay.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's a perfect way to start because you're absolutely right. The question we've got to ask is when we hit an obstacle in our connection, in our friendship, are you willing to have a conversation? Are you willing to have an open mind? You have to ask those questions. Those two. Are you willing to have a conversation? It's not, I don't want to argue with you. I don't want to debate with you. I don't want to negotiate with you unless we can have a friendly negotiation, a friendly debate. But so that's why I'm saying, are you willing to have just a conversation about it? And will you come to the conversation with an open mind? Okay. And I think that's the first thing you've got to say. And if the person says, let's say they go, no, I will not have an open mind because I love donuts and I think donuts are the way of the future and you have to have at least one donut every day and there is nothing you could possibly say to change my mind, then you have to say, well, then we can't have this conversation because you're not willing to open your mind. Or you could say, well, I'm going to have this conversation with you because this sounds like fun. Okay.
Or you don't have the conversation and they unfriend you anyways.
Yeah. Which I'll tell you,
And those filled donuts are like the best.
Yeah.
You have the jelly or the cream filled
That's right.
or the
Oh,
frosting
my
kind,
gosh,
So
yeah.
there's so many different types of donuts.
Exactly.
I don't know how you could only pick one donut.
All right, so I'll tell you. So for the course of argument through the day, because now I sense your feeling towards donuts. So you are going to take the pro donut approach, and this is, although it breaks my heart a little bit, I'm going to take the anti donut approach. Okay, just that. Just so while we are conversing, we have something to talk about. We have something to say.
Okay.
All right. So the first thing I would say is, oh my God, Tiff, donuts are awful. It's processed flour. It's so much sugar. There is no necessity of having a donut, right? And so I would love to have a conversation with you about this, but are you willing to have a conversation? Okay. And are you willing to open your mind to the possibility that I may be right? Not necessarily that I am right, but are you open? Can you open your mind and kind of admit that maybe you are not 100% right? Are you willing to do that?
I am willing to do that because I may not be 100% right, but I might be 80%
Yeah.
right.
All
or
right. I like
85.
that.
And so if you think you're 100% right, maybe I could give you some type of flavored donut that might change your mind. And so maybe you might come down a little bit too.
I like it. All right. And so the cool thing is, I liked how you were going with that, is that's this first part is coming back to me and asking me, okay, are you willing to have an open mind? Because just because I'm asking you doesn't necessarily mean that I'm willing to have an open mind. Because maybe I'm the person who goes, no, donuts are awful. Donuts are evil. You should only eat pie and bacon. Okay. And not anything else.
What about those? They have those bacon donuts.
Yes.
I think there are maple bacon donuts.
That's right. That's the devil food tempting me across the line. No, you're absolutely right. I do love a good maple bacon donut.
There we go.
But again,
I win.
Again, no, you don't win. It's too early. You can't win yet. All right. So the first thing, like I said, was we have to establish that early on. And when you realize, some people are like, I can't do that. I get caught up in this argument. We're arguing, me and this other person, and I don't have time to ask them, are you willing to converse about it? Are you willing to open your mind? And I'm like, oh, that's the exact time you should say that. Because if you are so emotionally connected to the argument, so emotionally connected, bound to it, that you can't even pause to find where the other person is, if you can't do that, then you're not ready to truly have the conversation either.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what? I don't even bring up donuts because
Oh.
unless if you come up to me and say, hey, Tiff, can we talk about donuts?
Yeah.
All right, maybe. But I will not say, hey, Marty, you want to talk about donuts?
No,
I don't bring it up. No.
Yeah, because what you find out, there's too many donut haters out there,
There-
and it's not worth the fight, is it?
Not worth the fight at all.
I gotcha. I gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. So beautiful. I love it. I love the way, but sometimes do you find yourself, you go to a party or something like that, and the conversation just comes up, and all of a sudden, before you know it, everyone's hating donuts, and you're like going, oh, I need to say something. I feel like I have to say something. If not me, who protects the donut?
I had that. I was at a party and I was sitting at a table and there was this woman that I didn't know.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
she just started talking with me and
Oh.
started talking about donuts. And I'm just looking at her and I wouldn't agree, disagree. I just,
Oh.
okay. And then someone else came along and says, you know what? Stop talking about donuts. And then someone else came around saying, I need your help someplace
Oh,
to
they
get
got
me
you
out of
there.
this
All right, gotcha.
situation.
All
But
right.
I won't.
Well, I'll tell you the toughest part about people who are opinionated on anything, donuts included. The toughest part is when you are stuck there and you don't say anything. Sometimes they assume you agree with them because you sit there and listen to them. And if you truly don't agree with them, being quiet helps them, supports their argument, right? And it's difficult because I don't want to argue. I don't want to fight over every single thing. Okay, contrary to what my family believes. Really, he doesn't want to fight over everything, right? All right, but really, so what we have got to do is, if you feel strongly about something, you've got to say, I would like to have this discussion. And I've got a friend in my neighborhood. It was interesting. I told him at one point in time, too often in our neighborhood, we have these really mundane conversations. They're pointless conversations. We're just shouting facts at each other, or this is what's going on. And
I
I'm
so
like,
see you doing that.
and I'm going, oh, it's killing me, like all that kind of stuff, right? So I told him, I go, I'm tired of this type of stuff. And it was really cool because he was like, oh, well, then let's have some deep conversations. And it was really cool because then all of a sudden we were like, so what's your opinion on this? Okay. And we didn't talk not only about donuts, we talked about, sweet rolls and cupcakes too. Okay.
And did you agree, or was it a happy?
It was,
medium?
Well, this is what was nice about it, was there were many things that we did not initially agree upon. But because we had mutual respect and both of us had open minds,
Nice.
and we could have a conversation about it,
Nice.
and we went to deeper subjects. Specifically, we went to deeper subjects, not donuts, something a lot deeper, the taboo subjects that I'm not going to do on the air. We specifically talked about those to see where each other stood, entering the conversation with just that this is a conversation. And our goal, and this is really important, our goal in the conversation is not necessarily to prove the other person or to make the other person lose and make me win. Our goal was curiosity. We were having a conversation to understand. Okay. And that was it. And we knew, without saying it, because of the mutual respect, we knew we could walk away from the conversation disagreeing.
Wow.
Okay. And so it's
But
really,
still friendly.
Still friendly.
Nice.
Right. And that's what's so important.
How come everyone can't do that?
Okay.
You're absolutely right.
Just that, because when we talked about this like early on, and I first brought up that sometimes these conversations, these deep thoughts, like politics, religion, vaccines, etc., donuts, right? Whatever it is. Why is it that there's this one conversation that is so strong that it negates everything else we agree on? And all of a sudden we disagree on this one thing and we lose friendships based on one thing.
It's terrible.
Okay. And so this is what we're going to try to address today.
Okay. You're going to fix it all, right?
Oh, you know it, baby.
Nice.
Before the night is over, everyone in the world's either going to love donuts or hate donuts, or at least have an open mind towards donuts. Which is kind of interesting, because if you think, most donuts are open, they have an open mind.
Except for those jelly-filled ones.
I do like those. I do like those. It's fun to do with those jelly-filled ones. Everyone's you open them up, you suck you get a custard one. A lot of people.
I like the custard.
Yeah,
better
suck all the custard out and fill it with mayonnaise, and then give it to Mark. Okay, that would be so much fun.
Gosh.
Okay, yeah.
I get the feeling you've done that before.
You suck the jelly out and you fill it with ketchup. Something like that.
That's just horrible.
Yeah, exactly.
You did it before, didn't you?
Oh, why would I? I would do that. I would do that.
Did you do it to brothers or sisters, or your wife or kids?
No, I would never do that to my wife. I sleep with her. Who knows how she would avenge herself. No, I would do that to
Baby Joe.
Baby Joe. You know it. Yeah, exactly. What's a big brother supposed to do, right?
Exactly.
Right. All right. So anyway, so we get into this whole thing. So the first question is, before you even start, when you see there's a bypass, an obstacle, okay, you've got to ask that question. Are you ready to converse about this? Would you like to have a conversation? And do you have an open mind? I want to come to this conversation with an open mind because I want to know what led you to what you believe. I would like to know more about what was going on in your life. What did you hear? Who did you talk to that got you to believe this way? Okay, because maybe there are things I don't know, but I'm going to say, but I want to enter this conversation as equals, as peers. So I'm asking that you allow me to speak about what led me to my belief, and let's have a conversation, a real conversation. And our goal here is growth, right? Is that maybe we'll both start to understand each other, and maybe we'll realize, oh, maybe I don't have all the information. Maybe there are bigger minds at play back there that are pushing us into a certain direction, right? And so I would rather just talk to you and find out what's going on in your head, what makes you think the way you think, and then maybe, who knows? Maybe we walk away as friends, but still disagree, or maybe we go, it's not as impossible anymore. Okay, that maybe I'd sit here going, well, maybe a donut every now and then isn't such a bad idea, and then maybe you go, maybe a few less donuts is a good idea.
Be happy
Okay.
medium.
Exactly. You never know.
Never know.
Okay, so we're going to get into a whole bunch of cool little things in here. I printed out way too many pages here.
Oh.
All right. So what I want to first do is, obviously, we always talk about the bacon here. The reason that the show is called Bacon Bits is because everything that bacon touches becomes just a little bit better.
As long as it's crispy.
There. All right. Sure. All right. I just got back from the Dominican Republic, and they had it's the last day. They kept saying, be careful of raw food here. Like they were like, make sure they cook everything really well.
Oh.
So I was avoiding the bacon, but the last day they just had that pile of chewy bacon.
It was chewy?
Oh, just how I love it. And so I was like,
And you didn't get sick?
No, I had to get a big plate of that. It was these Dominican Republics are really big with sausages and stuff like that. So it was like, a big sausage and bacon diet for me. It was fantastic.
But no donuts.
No, they did have one donut, and I didn't eat it because donuts are bad for you. I'd rather have bacon.
Bacon and sausage.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, I think I'll pass on the donut.
No, I'm not. That doesn't look healthy. I'm going to have more bacon. All right. So anyway, like I said, anything that bacon touches becomes just a little bit better. So of course, for the show, we're gonna apply bacon to this idea of how do we communicate? How do we argue with people? Understanding that we cannot argue our way to peace, right? Okay, we've got to come up with another way to doing this. And so we always apply bacon. But of course, it's not the bacon for chewing.
It's the bacon for doing.
There you go. Beautiful, beautiful. I almost made a mistake. I know.
I was waiting. I'm like, I'm not saying
I had
it
to
until.
hesitate. Right. So anyway, some of these are going to be what we have heard before, where we've used these over and over and over again, but that's okay because they're important here. But we're going to discuss a lot more. This is just part of what we're talking about today in the show. So the first thing is kind of what we talked about is the B is for breathe. In other words, take a break, back away from it for a second. Don't jump in emotionally and fight. And it's fire versus fire rarely works. Okay. Instead, just take a deep breath. And we're going to talk to you about the kind of things you should be thinking about, the questions you should be asking. So we start with that. Then number 2 is assess. Okay. Where we're looking at this and trying to figure out exactly who the players are, what's going on in your mind, what's going on in my mind, what brought me to this conversation, what brought you to this conversation.
Is it talking about a person who's a vegan or talking about a person who's a dessert baker?
Nice. There you go.
See, you got to decide who you're talking
There's
to.
a lot of things that bring you right.
you know?
Right. Yeah. All right. 3 is going to be communicate with curiosity. Remember, that's what I was saying.
Good, yeah.
That's very good. We're going to talk about, I'm going to convince you of this.
Right.
I just want to talk with you, go back and forth and explain to you why I'm thinking this way. And I want you to explain why you're thinking this way.
Because you're interested.
Exactly. I want to understand.
That's
all right.
good.
I'm not trying to judge you. I'm just trying to understand you.
Good.
Okay. That's the C. The O is own. Okay. Again, you own what I say. I own. This is what I truly believe in. Okay. I'm not going to do, well, I heard this and I'm not sure. Okay. don't bring that into the argument. Okay. You can, what we're talking about right now, when we have an obstacle that we can't go over, that we can't bypass, I am not going to lose you as a friend by me telling you, well, I heard this other thing. All right. Because I don't know if that's true. I don't know what that's someone's opinion or whatever it is. And I'm willing to lose you as a friend over something some gossip that I heard, something I overheard. No, let's come into this and own what I'm going to say. All right.
Good.
And then finally, N is going to be navigate our way through this. Okay. We're going to take it step by step by step to get us to whatever we're going to agree on is going to be our conclusion of our conversation. Okay, so it's going to be really cool just to go through it like that. So we're not necessarily going to dwell on any one of those letters today. I just want us to think about that. And then you will find as we're conversing today, all these kinds of things come up. Okay.
Can I think it's
Of course you
kind
can.
of
I don't
part
know
of
what-
the show.
Yeah.
You told me, it was a few weeks ago, the story about Prince Charles
Okay.
and how you
the
see
picking of the nose.
yeah,
Yes.
and one person or people would see it one way, but
Yep.
when he turned his head, it was
he was
another way.
He was holding his finger up, like I think it was Prince Charles, holding his finger up, pointing, like making a point. But the camera from the other angle turned, and his finger looked like it was in his nose, but yet it wasn't even on his nose. It was near his face. Okay, and so that's this idea of perception or perspective. When we look at it based on where I'm starting, where I'm looking at, this is what I see, and I make assumptions. Okay, that's why there's that old adage of listen to don't believe anything you hear, and only half of the things you see. Right? It's really important. There's another story, and I forget what they all see, but and I think I told you about this, is the 5 blind men when they first come to an elephant, right?
Yes.
And we can picture an elephant. I could put a piece of paper in front of you and say, draw an elephant, describe an elephant. And you and I in separate rooms would describe an elephant fairly closely, right? But we'd hit all the same points, right? But these blind men, having no sight, walk up and touch the elephant, right? And they only have one touch, and they touch it and walk away, right? And the first guy just touches the side of the elephant and goes, oh my gosh, this feels like a wall. It's an enormous thing. It's really rough and scaly. And he's picturing, it's just like the wall, the side of my house, right? And you might go, you know what? In some ways that might be correct, right? The next guy walks over and touches one of his legs and says, an elephant feels like a tree trunk. This thing must be a giant tree. Right? Which now you suddenly look at and say, those are dramatically different, right? Then the next person comes over and touches the trunk, right? And says, my God, this is an enormous snake. All right. It's a muscular snake. It's big. It's like a python. Right. The next person could touch the tail and go, why is he saying it's so big? It's not that big. It's a snake, but it's kind of a limp snake. And there's this furry thing at the end. It's kind of like more like a paintbrush. Okay. Somebody might touch the tusks or the ears. Right. And if they touch the tusk, this thing is like a sword. Okay. It's hard. It's made of stone. Okay. The ears might be something like, it's a palm tree. Look at the size of these leaves. Right. So if I don't have enough information, I'm making judgments based on the limited information I have.
Yes.
Okay.
And when you were telling me that, I love those 2 stories.
Yeah. And I'll tell you,
it's so true.
Yeah. And so when you tie it to the conversations that you have, when you walk up to somebody new and you suddenly realize you love donuts and they don't love donuts, and you're like, this is insane. How can somebody not love donuts? Stop for a second and say, maybe I don't know everything about donuts. And talking to this person gives me the opportunity to learn a little bit more.
Or maybe they're diabetic.
Well, whatever. But then but you would learn that.
Exactly.
And you would say, okay, so now I've learned. Now I know why you don't like donuts, right? But hopefully what they would do in turn as well is to say, wow, I've met somebody who loves donuts. I want to talk to them because I want to learn something, because maybe I'm a blind man touching an elephant, right? And I don't know everything, and I'm making judgments based on the limited knowledge I have. Okay. And let's just put it this way, that if I go, I hate all donuts. Okay. Now let's just say, it hurts me saying that, but I told you I would take that side of the argument. If I said that, right, what ends up happening is you have to think about this is to say, break down the argument and say, what are we really arguing about? Are you saying you hate them or you dislike them? Right? Are you saying it's donuts or are you saying it's all sweets, all pastries, all desserts? Okay. Are you saying all? Like there's not one, not even a little bit? Okay. So
Not even a donut
yeah,
hole?
exactly. Right. So what's important is first is when we agree that we're going to open our minds and have a conversation, the next thing is what is it that we are actually going to argue about? What are we having this debate on? Because
I like the word debate rather than argument.
well, we're going to get to that in a second.
Oh.
Oh yeah, you know it, baby.
Okay.
This is a good show. This should be a sick. You know what? We're going to not even turn it over to Rusty at 7. We're going to go all the way to 8.
Right. Sorry, Rusty.
He's going to go knocking on the wall. I got a basketball game. All right. No, it's what's important is understanding what the argument is because sometimes, if I said, "Oh God, I hate all donuts," and you were like, "Oh, really? Oh my God, that's terrible." And then if you just suddenly ask, "Really, you hate all donuts?" And I go, "Well, not all donuts. I'm talking about, I just went to this donut shops and I didn't like the 2 donuts I tried there, but I do like donuts at these other places." All right. And you're suddenly going, "Yeah, I've gone places where the donuts weren't that good." Right. And now all of a sudden, why are we arguing? We agree on it because neither of us really truly understood what the argument was about. So it's important to say make your stance. What is the thing that you are arguing for, or what is the thing you're arguing it against? And even if you want to, actually write it down. Okay. And I know this is people are like, "Oh my God, how do you argue? No wonder your wife hates you." She doesn't hate me. She absolutely loves me. Right. But what happens is you write it down to say, is this what we are disagreeing on? Okay. And then be able to define that and understand, because maybe you suddenly go, "Oh, again, this falls into that breathe." Take some time to work this kind of stuff out and it helps you lower the emotional state. And then suddenly you're like, you know what? We don't really disagree. Or suddenly we go, "Yeah, donuts are all right. I just don't like the powdered donuts." Okay. And that's what it comes down to. So when I say, I don't like donuts, I was really referring to just powdered donuts. And you're like, "Oh, well, that's a preference thing." Yeah. But but there's plenty of other donuts you would eat. Yeah, I would eat them, but I try not to eat too many of them. And before you know it, we don't have an argument, but we could have had an argument had we not clarified all of that. Okay. Got that? You're
Got
all
it.
cool?
I'm
all
all
right.
cool.
All right. Excellent. So here's this question you had brought up, and I'm looking at the time. You know what? It's just about that time. I'm going to take the break now. All right.
Okay.
We're at the bottom of the hour, and everyone just stay tuned.
Don't move.
Don't move. Don't even if you got to go to the bathroom, that's all right. Save it for another day. All right. We're going to take a little momentary break, hear from some of the other shows and the people here who help this station go and grow. All right. But we'll be right back. Thank you. And we are back. Thank you so very much for staying tuned in to 98.3 FM, The Life. You're listening to Bacon Bits with Master Happiness. Today, of course, I'm with my bestest buddy, Tiffany. Hi. Wow. You pushed your mic away. Nobody heard you. Hi, there you go. Good. I was wondering, what was that screech? Someone ran over a cat. Okay. All right. So today we're talking a little bit about why you cannot argue your way to peace. This is when two people, a group of people, whatever it is, disagree so strongly on something that it turns into an argument. And we're going to kind of break down some definitions right now. But we break this down, and this phenomena that it just really bothers me and it bothers Tiffany, that sometimes what happens is we find one obstruction in our friendship, one obstacle, one hurdle, something that gets in our way, and we judge everything from then on, our entire friendship, on that one thing. There are people who lose friends over politics, people who lose friends over religion, people who lose friends over medical advice, right? Today, so we're going to keep away from the big subjects. We're just talking about donuts, and today we are pretending that I don't like donuts, and we're pretending that Tiffany likes donuts. Okay.
Pretending nothing.
I know you love your donuts.
You love my donuts.
Right. All right. So we talked a little bit about, like you said, I prefer the word debating over arguing. Okay. So one of the things I want to do is kind of break this down. And so there's difference between arguing and an argument. Okay. An argument is when I write a statement, something that I truly believe. I take a stance. This is my argument. Okay. This is what I am going to debate with you, or I'm going to negotiate with you, etc. This is what I want to talk about. And it's important when we start this conversation that we talked about earlier. When we start the conversation, what do you have an open mind to? We are going to converse. We have an open mind. Now, what is your argument? What is your statement? What is your claim? What is the thing that you feel strongly about? Please let's articulate it so perfectly that both of us understand and find out first off, do we have an argument? Do we have a disagreement? And if we do, then and we've agreed to talk with an open mind, then let's move forward. Okay. So when I look upon this, there's 4 different terms I like talking about, and it's bargaining, it's bargaining, arguing, negotiating, and debating. Okay. And the difference here is this: is bargaining is usually focused on striking a deal. You go to a grocery store, you go to a market, and you bargain for something. You're like, I don't think I disagree with that price. I want a lower price. And so what ends up happening is usually somebody walks away, or both people walk away going, I'm happy with that deal. But you think you won. You think you bettered the other person. Right. And that's bargaining. That's that first thing.
Car dealers.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Exactly. And so what we want to make sure is when we bargain, there's something also called that buyer's remorse. You walk away and I got the best deal. Oh, he gave up too soon. Maybe I could have gotten a better deal. You can't be happy with it because you didn't come into it as peers. You came in to get the best deal. You came into that to win. Okay. All right. The next one is this arguing. And arguing, how I'm using the term now, is this other thing with it is usually emotional. It's I'm shouting at you. I'm arguing with you. You are wrong. Okay. And this is where I cannot believe I don't have enough respect for you to listen to your point. I'm not going to open my mind because you don't know what you're talking about. Right. And this is this arguing that never really helps. Okay. It becomes heated. And when it becomes so heated, one or both people have to stop and say, we are never going to get anywhere if it's going to be a heated battle.
Yeah,
okay?
I wouldn't start there. I wouldn't even have the discussion.
Yeah, but if somebody was starting to argue with you, raising your voice, would you be strong enough to say, hey, I'd love to have the conversation with you, but not when we're shouting at each other? Do you think you'd be strong enough?
Possibly. I don't know.
Okay. All right. But this is one of the things that I truly believe that what happens is over time, what's going on here is we continue to walk away from these arguments. We walk away from disagreements.
I do.
Right? And what happens is then we lose connections and we stop learning, we stop growing. And we're better off to be in a world where we encourage debate, where we encourage conversations, where we encourage, I am open to learn something. I feel this. I think this is true. Okay. Please talk to me because obviously you think something different. I want to learn from you. We just saying that when you think about that, wouldn't that be a better world to live in?
Would be. But like me, I don't like conflict.
Yeah. But this is what I'm saying is what I want you to do though, is saying, I don't like conflict. But I'm more than happy to have a conversation with you on the subject matter because I'd like to know what brought you to this conclusion. I want to talk to you about this, but I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to shout and scream. That's not going to get us anywhere. And I think that's one of these things we have to get over. I think sometimes we are too soft. We're like, I don't want to talk to those people. And then we make judgments based on what we think they would have. Well, this is what they would have said, right? This is what I know how they think, right? And you don't. So have a conversation with them. And if the person says, I'm not going to have an open mind, or during the conversation, you realize they don't have an open mind, that shouldn't stop you from having an open mind. Maybe they tell you something, you're like going, oh, I didn't realize that. Wow. Okay.
See, I'm right.
Yeah. And who cares?
That's what they would probably say.
But who cares if they're right? Right?
Right.
If I learn something and I go, you're right. And you go, ha, I told you I was right. Yes, I just told you you're right. I agree with you. Thank you. I just learned something. I grew. So thank you. And instead, we're like, I don't want to do that because if he's right, he's going to put it in my face. And so what? If you learn something and you grew, you win. Okay. And we have to have that idea in our head. So that's arguing. The next is negotiating. And this is when we negotiate and we try to seek a mutual agreement.
Okay. You may not like filled donuts, but maybe you like raised donuts.
There you go. Or would you be willing to try this new type of donut, right? This donut maybe you've never tried before. Maybe there's a donut out there that you do like, right? All right. And so negotiation is that whole idea that maybe what ends up happening is we both lose a little bit, or maybe we both win, maybe we both learn. Okay. But I have to be willing to open my mind to that. And so I prefer, out of all of these, I prefer negotiation to talk to that. Okay. But even that is, negotiation is still seeking an ending, and a conversation is seeking growth. All right. So there's a difference there. So out of all of these so far, the bargaining, the arguing, and the negotiating, it's that same thing. I'm seeking education. I'm seeking growth. All right. I'm not seeking that I don't have to win. Okay. And then lastly, of course, is debate. And this is focusing on winning through persuasion. This is where they have debate competitions. All right. Which I still am in favor of somewhat in schools where they teach kids to debate, because they need to be able to build strong arguments, not arguing, raising your voice.
Hey,
Yeah.
don't you teach something
Yeah.
about debate?
Actually, I was teaching. I have not taught in the past couple of semesters. I took some time off. But yeah, I was teaching children. I was also teaching adults the idea of debate and persuasion, because it's really important in sales. It's part of sales training, is understanding persuasion. But you've got to, whenever I teach salespeople, or even people who are going to debate, if you're in a debate competition, you're out to win. Okay. But in life, it's not about me convincing you of something. It's about us both learning something. That's the difference. That's what I'm really after, is having those open minds and nice, great conversations. That's what we need more of. Okay. So that's the direction. And so when you think about those, the bargaining, arguing, negotiating, debate, that acronym is BAND, a band. Okay. And what's important, and you think about this, is that there's a rubber band, right? And I'm stretching that rubber band between you and I. And it's something that brings us together.
And then you let go.
Oh, I'm going to let go. You see, I knew you were going to say that. My gosh, your mind goes crazy. Anyway, no, the band is important because it's something that's holding us together, right? And what happens is, when we do not have the conversation, we keep stretching it and moving further away and pulling. And maybe we hope that we can come up with a way that as I pull it, maybe you'll come towards my direction. Or if you pull it far enough, maybe you're hoping I'll come to your direction. But the scary part is what we stretch that band so far that it snaps and it breaks. And that one little band was enough to break our relationship, to break our friendship. And so I think that's the scary part about it, is to understand that there's got to be more than that. Okay. I can't just bargain with you. I can't just argue with you. I can't negotiate. I can't just debate with you. I've got to say, I am willing to learn, not even lose. I'm just willing to learn. I'm willing to open my mind. And I really hope that you're willing to open your mind, because if you open your mind to my part of the conversation, that shows me that you respect what I have to say. Okay. And I'm opening my mind because I can learn something from you. We can learn something from everyone. Okay. So this is what's very important.
I like when you said that about the respect.
Yeah.
That if you listen to me, it's showing that you have respect for me. I like that.
It's so true, right? You can see when you have an argument and someone goes, you don't know what you're talking about. That is wrong. That type of thing. You suddenly go, wow. So what they basically said was, I don't know what I'm talking about. I am wrong. I have a false belief. Okay. And that is how they judge me. That is how they see me. That is as far away from respectful as possible.
Right.
Okay. So instead, I would rather have somebody go, you have an open mind. I think you were led down the wrong path and it made you believe something. But I'm so glad that we had this conversation and you're sitting there rethinking some of those things. I would rather have that end a conversation, right? Okay, so we're going to go back and we're going to go get into this a little bit further. This is a fun little show we're having here.
Pretty cool.
You're loving this one, huh?
Yeah.
All right. So here's this next thing I want us to think about, is that when we have these conversations, they usually fall into one of three categories. It's blame, values, and choice. Okay, blame, values, and choice. And what this is when we're talking, understand when you're hearing the person talk, what they are usually doing. When they're talking about the past, this happened in the past, blah, 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 blah. It's usually all about blame. I'm blaming someone else, and that is what's going on now. So it's in the past. I can't change the past. So let's stop blaming and let's start trying to come up with a solution or a connection of some type. And a lot of people get upset and they blame the past and they want to fix the past to make for something else. And we have to say, we do agree that we can't change the past. The past is filled with great information and data, but we have to move forward, right? Now, values is the thing, the present. What matters most right now? What matters most about my values? Okay, this is nice. That we're talking about this, where we're talking about this is what means the most to me, and it's usually based on what happened in the past. This is what means most to me. So, what means most to me? My values are saying that donuts are not healthy. I can't eat them because I don't believe they're healthy. And you're saying no, but life is so short. So maybe your values are because life is so short. I've got to enjoy donuts now and then. All right, this is our belief system, right?
And the jelly's fruit.
And the jelly is fruit and sugar is natural, right? Right. All right. And so what we have to do is, even from that point, we have to say, okay, so then let's make a choice. Let's go forward. Let's go into the future based on our conversation. Where are we going to go from here? All right. What should we do next? All right. And this whole idea, because if I can talk about where I might say, throughout history, it's been donuts were built by, made by servants and slaves and underpaid workers. And I'll never eat them because I stand up for what they believe. And you're like, oh my gosh, you know what? Maybe that's true. But we're talking about the donuts of today, the donuts of tomorrow, right? We're not talking about that. You can't say, I don't like donuts. Okay. You're saying, I don't like the way people were treated at a certain point in time. That's a different argument.
Totally different.
Okay.
Argument.
So this is what I mean. We have to clarify what it is we're arguing about. So in the future, what are you going to do? So in the future, you know what? You talked to me about a lot of different donuts. I didn't realize there were so many different donuts. I was contemplating how much I dislike donuts. And then you reminded me of those bacon covered maple donuts that are heaven sent. And so, yes, I do believe I can eat a donut. I will eat it on a boat. I will eat it with a goat. All right. So it's really important for us to think about what's in the future. What's the next step? Because why debate something that happened in the past if it's not going to affect our future? Okay, really. That would be like me debating about when fire was first discovered or when the wheel was. We're going to debate, and I'm going to lose you as a friend over the date the wheel was discovered. Okay. What does that mean for me in the future? Okay. That's what's most important. That's the most important thing. So I have to be able to say, what are we talking about? How does this, what does that look like in our future? Okay. And so understand is that when we talk about the past, when we talk about blame, that drives understanding. All right. So all right, I understand how you got here because of the past. When you talk about the values, when you talk about the future, what matters most now, this builds a connection. Okay, I understand because now I understand what's important to you. Okay. And it's based on this understanding we got from the past. But the future is what creates progress. Where are we going to go from here? Because are we just going to argue? Is that the purpose of this, just to argue? Or are we arguing to get somewhere? So that's why we want to look towards the future. And the more you talk to somebody and you find out what they're arguing about, you can always say, I would like to talk about the future. Where are we going with this? What's the purpose of this conversation? Because if I agreed with you 100% right now, and if I just said, yeah, donuts are fantastic. Okay, that's just right now the values, right? We have a connection now, but that doesn't change the future until we talk about the future. So it's really important for us to have the conversation. Where are we going with this conversation? What's our purpose in this conversation? All right.
All right.
Got it so far?
I think so.
All right. So, man, we're looking at this 648. What's a big argument that you think you've had with somebody who you were like, oh my God, They were such a knucklehead, such a stupid head. They didn't.
Oh, I don't
They
know
couldn't
if I
even.
could say it.
No,
Should I?
well, no. You don't have to say it exactly. You make up something. But I want you to kind of tell me a little bit about the conversation you were having with them.
I don't know how it actually started, but it was how something wasn't good for you.
Okay. All right.
I'll just say it. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just
That's good
say it.
too.
How smoking isn't good for you.
Okay. Yes.
And I thought, and my sister being a nurse,
Yeah.
agrees smoking's not good for you.
Yeah. Okay. And somebody else thought it was good for you.
No, not good for you, but not necessarily could kill you.
Oh, okay.
So that
Interesting.
was the little debate.
Okay. And did they bring up any type of, evidence or anything?
Well, that there's people out there that smoked and never died.
Yeah,
Of course, everyone's going to die, but at a much older age.
Okay. Sure.
So that type of.
Right.
But I was trying to get my point across, and my sister's trying to get her point across, and we just kind of looked at each other and said, I think we're going to just drop this.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And this is perfect. I love this. This
Really?
is perfect. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. That's why I said I wanted you to just pick anything. Okay. So now we've talked a little bit about like the different types of things we agree on or disagree on. We talked about the way that we would communicate. We've talked about listening to how they're coming to the argument, right? Whether they're talking about they're placing blame in the past, they're talking about their values correctly right now, or we're looking towards the future, the direction I want to go in, right? And what we want to do is we want to really get to that point where we want to go in the future. Okay. Now the question is, what are they saying? And this is why I asked you, what was their ideas? What were they saying? And it's what I consider this is 3 O's. When we talk about this, there are things that are obvious, there are things that are opinions, and there are things that are obligations. Okay.
Oh.
These are the 3 O's that people argue about. And the obvious things are the logic based, where we say the world is round. All right.
There are people that
I know.
right.
I understand. Well, hold on. I'm going to get to
Okay.
get to that. I'm going to get to that as well. You're
Okay.
absolutely right. Because I've argued with I've taught a class and I'd say, I'll argue the flat earth side. I'll take the flat earth side.
Yeah.
You, the class, take the round earth and we'll have an argument. We'll have a debate.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Did you win?
Yeah. Yeah. I did. I shouldn't be that proud.
They were 8.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Exactly.
you won.
That's what I'm saying. I shouldn't be that proud. But the idea is that first take a look at what it is we're arguing about. Is it obvious? Like there are things like water is, if I pour water on the table, it's going to drip off. It's going to find as much level as it can be, right? There are certain things like that. If I drive home with my eyes closed, it's pretty obvious I'm going to hit something. Okay, these are the obvious things, and this is logical. But I can still argue with that. Like you had said, there are still people who are going to say, no, I believe the earth is flat. Right. I started having that conversation one day with my son, Luke, who I love arguing with him. And he goes, you don't really believe the earth is flat, do you?
Oh, I could see you saying yes.
I do. I could prove me wrong. Right. But anyway, here's the interesting thing. And this is why it's okay to argue on facts, on what we think is obvious, because think of the blind men touching the elephant. It was obvious that one guy said that elephant was like a tree trunk. It was obvious. It was a fact that the other guy who touched the ear said an elephant is like the giant leaf on a palm tree. It was a fact in their mind. It was a fact. It was obviously years ago that people did think the earth was the center of the universe and the sun and everyone revolved around us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not just the earth, around you, Tiff, right? But it was a fact at that point in time. Okay. It was obvious. There was a point in time where people thought when it rained and there was thunderstorms that the gods were angry, right? It was a fact then. But we live in a world where we're always finding new information and we're making changes. We're making best guesses on the information that we have, just like those blind men and the elephant, right? So when we say something is a fact, you have to stop every once in a while and say, it might just be a fact for now, but based on everything we know, this is our best bet. Because like I said, if I poured a glass of water on the table, we know water finds it becomes level. It finds a balance. It'll spread out, right? But it won't. It'll stop at a certain point in time. I'll get a puddle. It won't keep spreading. It won't. There's a thickness to water. It'll stop eventually. It won't continue to spread. So even that is a slight difference. Okay, it will find level to a point, to the thickness that it will allow itself to move to, right? So the earth is round. Yeah, but you know what? The people who say the earth is flat will also say, and when you look at it, it looks round from this side. That's different than saying the earth is a sphere, which a lot of people
Right.
say the earth is a sphere. And someone else will go, actually, it's not a sphere. It's a little misshapen. That's why there's a wobble to the earth as it spins. Okay. So you can go back and you can continue. The more we learn, the more facts or the logic changes with us. Okay. So obvious, the logical thing we have to think about, the way to address that and talk to people is through a good presentation without emotion. I'm just talking with you and I'm giving you some ideas, some thoughts, giving you something to think about. All right. The next O is opinion. This is emotion based. Okay, in my opinion, the world's going to hell in a handbasket. People shouldn't have children, or they should not have more than 2 children, right? They should just replace themselves. They shouldn't have these people who have 8 children. They shouldn't have that. That's my opinion. Okay, it's not a fact, but it's my opinion. And so with that, that's an emotional opinion. So it's emotionally based. Where it's an obvious logical thing, I'm not going to argue with emotion. And when it's an opinion based, I want to first build rapport so you trust me. Okay, I'm going to ask to understand, and I'm going to try to support my side with logic. Okay, but I've got to build rapport with you first. We've got to become friends first so that you trust me. Okay. And then I'm going to try to apply logic because you're only arguing emotionally. Okay. Now, the last O is obligation, and this is belief based. I believe that I shouldn't step on ants because ants are living creatures. And okay.
So is an opinion somebody else and a belief is your own?
An opinion is it's emotionally based.
Okay.
Okay. Whereas, and I'm sorry, repeat your question. Yeah.
Is an opinion against somebody else and a belief against you? Like yourself, because you say, I believe I should not step on an ant.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And it's because, let's say it's like this, is an opinion is, it's in myself. Inside, I believe it's okay. Somebody like an obligation. I am part of a family. So my obligation is to bring money into the house so we can buy food and feed the people here. I feel obligated to.
Okay.
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 It's not just my opinion. I think it's a good idea. No, it's an obligation that I be part of society. I have an obligation to protect people. I have an obligation not to kill people, right? It's not just an opinion. Like you know what? I don't think I'm going to kill anyone today. It's not right. It's so this obligation, it touches us deep in our values. Some people say, I have an obligation to go to church. I have an obligation to give 10% of my income to my church. Okay. That's because they're obligated. They feel this deep down inside them. It's not just their opinion. Okay. And so let's say somebody might have an obligation to go to church, but someone else might go, I have an opinion that it doesn't mean anything. So I'm not going to go to church.
I see.
Okay. And so you have to understand the subtle difference
It's very subtle.
on how you argue with them. So if somebody feels an obligation, a belief, okay, this one, sometimes you need to introduce a third party into this. Okay. Because if our values, our beliefs are so different, you can't possibly have enough respect for me to go, what are you talking about? Right. So what's important here is I bring in a third person. I kind of disconnect myself and let the third person get you to open your mind because this is a person you're more connected to. And then let that third person introduce me back into this. And so what ends up happening, how you see it used regularly is through the news media. I don't trust those. I I don't trust those politicians. Oh, but I do trust this news anchor. He would never let me down. Okay. It's the same thing when 9 out of 10 dentists recommend this. Okay. Oh, all right. Well, they recommend it. So I'm bringing in a third party to lead me down that path.
I see.
Okay. All right. So I'm looking at this. It's like we're at the end of the.
I
end of
know.
it.
Gosh.
It was a fast one. I had more stuff to talk about, but that's all right. We'll save it for another show.
Yeah.
The last thing I want you to do is this: is at any point in time during the argument, this is the last piece. I want you to understand this: 2 rules of arguing.
2
rules of arguing, negotiating, bargaining, or whatever.
Okay.
When we are fighting over this and we're having a conversation, we're trying to get somewhere, whether I'm trying to win it, whether I'm trying to learn, etc. Are the claims you're making, are they true? That's number 1.
Good.
Are they true?
Uh-huh.
Or are you just saying things?
Right.
And secondly, do the claims you make actually support the argument? Okay. Because you might say, I know somebody, a friend of mine ate a donut and there was a razor blade in it and he died.
Oh,
So
no.
that means I hate all donuts. That might be true, but that doesn't support the idea that donuts are bad. That supports the idea that somebody put a razor blade in a donut. Okay. And so when we argue or when we converse, when we talk to people, the important thing to understand and to know is that first off, make sure that my arguments, my claims are true and that my claims support my overall argument, the point I'm trying to make. Make sure that your people, the person you're talking to, their claims are true and that their claims support the point they're trying to make. Okay. And the best way to then practice for that type of a debate or a conversation is put yourself in their shoes, go through everything that you think they would say. Okay. And then come up with every single type of rebuttal. In other words, how can you prove what they're saying is not true? Or how can you prove that what they're saying does not support the argument? That's how you end up doing it.
I think that's good.
All right. So that'll wrap up the show here. Rusty's probably chomping at the bits, wondering what's going on out there.
Let Rusty chomp on the bit.
That's right. He's a bit chomper. He didn't tell me which buttons I'm supposed to turn on. So we're going to figure this out. I think I know what it is. But until then, thank you all so very much for tuning in to Bacon Bits with Master Happiness. Tiffany, always a pleasure.
Yay!
Man, I'm sorry. I talked an awful lot. My throat is dry. But I loved your stories. I loved your connection with this. And I can't wait till next month. We got to figure out what it is we're going to be talking about next month.
Ooh.
I don't know if we did already. Who knows? Maybe we'll continue this a little bit more.
Ooh, a little bit more.
Just a little bit more. All right. So until then, remember, if you missed any of today's episodes, shame on you. You can tune in to Bacon Bits with Master Happiness anywhere you listen to podcasts. Give me a day or so to get the recording up there and enjoy. And then happy arguing, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.